Blessings. Blessings. Blessings.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. So we are in the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. We start text number 6. The chapter is titled Three Modes of Material Nature. We'll start with our invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So the three modes of material nature are what we're going to talk about. And for those who have good memory, what is one of the modes of material nature?
Sattvam.
Sattvam, yes, it means
Purity.
goodness, yes, purity, goodness, yes. Next one
Raja.
means
Passion.
passion, and tamas means ignorance or
5, 6, 7.
inertia, lethargy, things like that.
Yeah.
So this, so we'll go a little deeper today. So we'll start with the first verse, and then we'll go around till we get to verse number 6, and then we'll do the Sanskrit on verse number 6. So Mike, can you read text number 1 of the 14th chapter, just the translation, then we'll go around to Jerry.
Let's start at 1.
So
Yeah.
pages 5, 6, 7. Interesting
5,
page.
6, 7.
5,
6,
6,
7.
5, 6, 7.
The Supreme God, the Supreme Personality of God had said, "Again, I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained in the supreme perfection."
Jerry, can you read text number 2? Just the translation.
By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution.
3. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, make possible the births of all living things, O son of Bharata.
It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. The text number 5. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes.
Okay, so just briefly before we get into verse number 6 in the Sanskrit, Arjuna is, of course, he's the student. He's taking instruction. He's taking advice from someone more senior to him, more knowledgeable, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So Krishna is explaining to him. As I mentioned last week, he's not really explaining just to Arjuna. He's explaining to that class of spiritualists who are philosophical in nature, who are called jnanis or intellectuals. And so he's explaining to Arjuna, I want you to understand on an intellectual level how you're being controlled by this material world and what those controls are. And by understanding those controls, then you'll be able to attain a nature like my own, which is a divine, because we're all divine by nature, but because we've been in this universe for so many lifetimes, we become conditioned, and this conditioning is what Krishna is trying to help free us from. And so in order to free us from this conditioning, he's getting ready to explain these modes. So we'll start with text number 6, and I'll do the Sanskrit, and then we'll just repeat. Tatra Sattvam Nirmalatvat Prakshakam Anamayam Sukha Sangena Badnati Jnana Sangena cha naga. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat. Prakashkam anamamyam. Sukha sangena badnati. Jnana sangena cha naga. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat. Prakashkam anamayam. Sukhena sangena badnati. Jnana sangena cha naga.
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat.
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat.
Prakashakam anamayam.
Prakashakam anamayam.
Sukha sangena badnati.
Sukha sangena badnati.
Jnana sangena chanaga.
Jnana sangena cha naga.
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat.
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat.
Prakashakam anamayam.
Prakashakam anamayam.
Sukha sangena badnati.
Sukha sangena badnati.
Jnana sangena chanaga.
Jnana sangena cha naga.
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat.
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat.
Prasakam anamayam.
Prakashakam anamayam.
Sukha sangena badnati.
Sukha sangena badnati.
Jnana sangena chamnana.
Jnana sangena cha naga.
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat.
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat.
Prakashakam anamayam.
Prakashakam anamayam.
Sukha sangena badnati.
Sukha sangena badnati.
Jnana sangena chanaga.
Jnana sangena cha naga.
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat.
Tatram sattvam nirmalatvat.
Prakashakam anamayam.
Prakashakam anamayam.
Sukha sangena badnati.
Sukha sangena badnati.
Jnana sangena chanaga.
Jnana sangena cha naga.
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat.
Tatram sattvam nirmalatvat.
Prakashkam anamayam.
Prakashakam anamayam.
Sukha sangena badnati.
Sukha sangena badnati.
Jnana sangena chandaha.
Jnana sangena cha naga.
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat.
Tatram sattvam nirmalatvat.
Prakashakam anamayam.
Prakashakam anamayam.
Sukha sangena badnati.
Sukha sangena badnati.
Jnana sangena chanaga.
Jnana sangena cha naga. Very nice. Brittany, do you mind doing the word for word?
No, I don't mind at all. I do.
Uh,
I do. I just read it as it is.
Tatra, yeah.
Okay. Tatra,
Tatra, there.
Sattvam,
Sattvam,
the mode of goodness.
the mode of goodness.
Nirmalatvat,
Nirmalatvat,
being purest in the material world.
being purest in the material world.
Prakashakam,
Prakashakam,
illuminating.
illuminating.
Anamayam,
Anamayam,
without any any sinful reaction.
Without sinful reaction.
Sukha.
Sukha.
With happiness.
With happiness.
Sangena.
Sangena.
By association. Badnati.
Badnati.
Conditions.
Conditions.
Jnana.
Jnana.
With knowledge.
With knowledge.
Sangena.
Sangena.
By association.
By association.
Cha.
Cha.
Also. Ananga.
Ananga.
O sinless one.
O sinless one. Translation. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. So we'll go in circle, we'll read 2 sentences each. Mike, if you mind reading the first 2 sentences?
Of the purport?
Yes, please.
That's the hardest word out of all this stuff. Purport. The living entities conditioned by material nature are of various types. One is happy, another is very active, and another is helpless. All these types of psychological manifestations are causes of the entity's conditioned status and nature.
Thank you.
How they are differently conditioned is explained in the section Bhagavad Gita. The mode of goodness is first considered.
The effect of developing the mode of goodness in the material world is that one becomes wiser than those otherwise conditioned. A man in the mode of goodness is not so much affected by material miseries, and he has a sense of advancement in material knowledge.
The representative type is the Brahmana, who is supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness. This sense of happiness is due to understanding that in the mode of goodness, one is more or less free from sinful reactions.
Actually, in the Vedic literature, it is said that the mode of goodness means greater knowledge and a greater sense of happiness. The difficulty here is that when a living entity is situated in the mode of goodness, he becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than others. In this way, he becomes conditioned. The best examples are the scientist and the philosopher.
Each is very proud of his knowledge, and because they generally improve their living conditions, they feel a sort of material happiness.
The sense of advanced happiness in conditioned life makes them bound by the mode of goodness of material nature.
As such, they are attracted toward working in the mode of goodness, and as long as they have an attraction for working in that way, they have to take some type of body in the modes of nature.
Though there is no moral likelihood of liberation or of being transferred to the spiritual world, repeatedly one may become a philosopher, a scientist, or a poet, and repeatedly become entangled in the same disadvantage of birth and death.
But due to the illusion of the material energy, one thinks that that sort of life is pleasant.
Okay, so this verse, this section is now giving the pros and cons of each mode. And the con of the mode of goodness is that when we develop so much knowledge, we sometimes become puffed up. We think, oh, we're better than this person. This person is less intelligent, or this person is not so clean. I shower twice a day or 3 times a day. This person may shower every other day, may shower once a day, and therefore these concepts, these ideas become, when there's no bhakti or devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead situated within that mode of goodness, then it's very easy to become arrogant. It's very easy to feel a sense of entitlement in one's knowledge and one's understanding. So Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that the mode of goodness, being purer than others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reaction. So this illumination, we all remember what the term guru means: one who enlightens or who brings one out of darkness. So knowledge in itself is very illuminating, especially that knowledge which is about the nature of the self, knowledge of the soul. And this knowledge of the soul is what allows us to recognize, oh, we're not these bodies, we're not these, all these other things. So Krishna is saying that by developing, cultivating this knowledge, we begin to understand these things, and we become wiser, and we become illuminated. And because of that illumination, we understand, okay, so waking up early in the morning is most ideal. Going to sleep earlier than, past 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, which I do myself, I recognize that. But those things, if we pay close attention to how these modes affect us, we can actually take advantage of the mode of goodness and really capitalize off that mode. And what happens when we capitalize off that mode of goodness is that we start acting in a way which does not produce vikarma, which is negative reactions. Because we know the 3 karmas, right? What's one of the 3 karmas? Akarma, which means? What is that?
Not going to add up for like good or bad. Like you're not going to.
Yes.
Neutral.
Yeah, it is that activity which not only neutralizes both good and bad, but actually begins to burn it up. And this is a karmic activity. And what is a karmic activity? What we're doing right now is a karmic activity. Because we are watering the seed of devotion in the heart, and that seed of devotion plants fruits which are in themselves transcendental and meant to be spread to others. And that's what this knowledge is doing. So this knowledge is a karmic knowledge. This activity, this association, this sangha, which means association, or also, as your spiritual master would say, it means a portal into a higher realm, or especially in this sense. A sangha means portal. So when we are entering into this association, this sadhu sangha, this very potent association, it puts us in another vibrational frequency, another vibrational realm. So that's a karma. So what's the next one? Vikarma. Vikarma is what in a lot of other traditions we'll call sin. That activity which does not lead to any good fruit, because that activity is conditioning us to taste something very bitter in the future, extremely bitter in the future. And then we also have karma, which is that kind of activity which brings good fruit. Taking birth in a great family, having money, having intelligence, having beauty, having fame, having all these things. That the more wealthier, the more beautiful, the more intelligent, that means that somebody in their last life has developed some amount of karma or good action that has resulted in a certain birth, certain mindset. So Krishna is saying that one who cultivates that mode of goodness ultimately leads a life that is sinless, that is karmicless.
Not binding.
Not binding, exactly. And yes, and Krishna later says those situated in the mode of goodness, in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. So before we go any deeper, what are some thoughts? Yes.
So when we speak to karma, is it materially, spiritually, or both? And my question comes from the thought of where good karma gets us a good birth, a good family, money. We're speaking material things here. But are these material things inherently going to bring us to Krishna consciousness? Or are these just material comforts that could actually perhaps prevent us from seeking Godhead?
It's a very good question. I was reading yesterday, there's a personality by the name of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And in his book, in this treatise called the Madhurya Kandambini, he explains that there are only a few types of karma or good action which ultimately lead or propel one to getting the opportunity to have sadhu sangha or association with someone who's really steeped in bhakti. One of those activities he mentions is charity. Charity is not even just monetary charity. Service service is a type of charity because what are you giving? Your time. And ultimately you can't get your time back, so this is also ultimately also a sacrifice. So you're doing charity and austerity simultaneously because you are doing just that easy thing of giving oneself. And there was 3 other things I should have wrote them down, but I did not write the other 2. But there are only a few things that ultimately lead one to get the association of a person who's actually tasting devotion to God. And I'll come back later with the other 2 once I remember them. But generally speaking, when we do good things, just like the movie Secret, we get really good results, right? But that doesn't inherently mean that you're going to all of a sudden get association with the advanced soul that's going to say, hey, what are you doing? Wake up. Jeev Jago, wake up, sleeping soul. You're out here and you're just wasting your time. By opening up a church, opening up a hospital, opening up all these other nonprofit organizations, yes, these are very helpful. They will get you a good birth. They will get you solid intelligence. They will get you fame. They'll get you beauty. They'll get you all these things. But it is not necessarily that you will get bhakti or devotion. And sometimes people are just very, very comfortable just with looking very good in the mirror. I like to see what I look like in the mirror. I like to, hear good things about myself. I love, when the gossip is good, especially about me. Or I'm so strong. People see me in the gym and they're just awestruck. Oh, he's lifting 500 pounds. He's squatting 750. All these things. Oh, this person's very, very sharp. But actually, these things, they stroke the ego. They stroke which ego? Ahankar, the false ego. Because you begin to think, oh, somebody complimented me. Yes, that must mean that I have a nice complexion. Therefore, I'm very suitable for most candidates. And we develop this attachment to this thing. So it's very easy to become puffed up. And this type of puffiness that we experience is detrimental to the soul because it further conditions you. Because what are these? Gunas are ropes. They're binding. They're binding in nature. Jerry, were you going to say something?
Well, I was just going to say that anything that is born, made, and conditioned means it's unborn, unmade, and unconditioned. And I've been blessed. I'm the outreach guy down here downtown with the Downtown Tulsa Partnership. And I was directed to this place by doing that. And what I get to do is I walk about 10 miles a day and I get to meet people's needs. I get to give them the treatment, water, food, whatever they get to do. But I got this by knowing that it's not me. It is Krishna in me serving Krishna on the street. And that led me here. And I made a promise about 6 months ago sitting, that if I got that job, I would just love and love and love and love. And I was directed here, and I get to do what I do. And I believe that nothing I've done except be quiet. For about 5.5 years now. And that's what led me here. I've never experienced anything like I've experienced tonight. I've never chanted. I have it by myself at home. I'm so blessed to be here. So that's all I got, brother.
Glad you're here, Jerry.
Welcome home, buddy.
I was thinking, I was laughing. I said, I'm home. I'm home.
It's time for those t-shirts.
No, this is actually, there's so much to say, and I'll try not to be too wordy, so we can make sure we have dialogue. But I just wanted to correct one thing. You did one thing. You were sincere. And sincerity goes a long way in one's relationship with Godhead. And that sincerity is when we are, what do they say, when we make one step, God makes 10 or 100 or so many thousands steps. But when we are giving our time, when we are giving our energy, to serve others, Krishna, whatever we call the nomenclature, Allah, whatever nomenclature, whatever we call, Krishna sees that and says, oh, this person is helping my other parts, my other jivas, other living entities. And they're not being compensated materially, but I will compensate them spiritually, greater than anything they can imagine. Especially when we have some intentionality, when we're intentional about how we serve. So you actually have done a lot. It may not seem like a lot, but sometimes we're very hard on ourselves.
Sure.
And Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that one who does not have the capacity nor the desire to control the mind, that mind becomes the greatest enemy. And those who have the desire or the intention to control the mind becomes their greatest friend. And this is, as we traverse this universe in our different fields of expertise, when we develop service or the desire to serve others in a selfless way, that is charity. So you're giving charity. Even if you're compensated by the organization, you're still giving charity because you actually have a desire to do this. Because it's very difficult to serve people who may not seem so appreciative. Actually, it's extremely humbling. Because you try to serve someone, I don't need your help.
But it doesn't matter if somebody, I'm doing my part, my intentions are pure. If you are not ready, it's still like, sometimes you don't know if I need, I don't know if I need help or not.
Yeah, it's true.
And I believe in chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita, is to give up the attachment to results. And that's what I always tell myself, that all I can do is to try to relieve suffering in this present moment. I've been called Jesus, I've been called Gandhi, I've been called so many things that blow me away. And I know it ain't big, because I know me. So it can only be the divine in me. And I know that. And I am humble about that, because we're all that. We are all that. And that's what we're trying to discover. Yeah.
But when we think I'm not the doer, I'm not doing anything, like he did mention it, then we are not going to get any type of karma, right? Or still going to get something. Whatever I'm doing, good or, I would say good, like serving others or praying, meditation, it's all, God is I'm just a medium in a way. So in that sense, are you, am I going to get karma, any type of karma, going to get accumulated over the time? If I'm If I'm not the doer, then who wanna get that credit? Or
So if the mindset while doing it is I'm not the doer, then no results. But if while doing it you feel I'm the doer, here are your results.
But isn't that kind of a paradox? Because we're supposed to recognize that we're not the doer in anything. And so if we're giving everything, if we're in true mode of goodness, full Krishna consciousness, we're only doing Krishna's will at all times, we're never the doer. It's like, right? This is a question, not like a statement. So,
Yeah.
So if we're not the doer ever, then how could we accrue good karma if we're remembering always? Like if I'm doing the service, like he's saying, and I know I'm not the doer because I'm not the doer, and I remember that while I'm doing the service, how could I ever acquire good karma?
I don't know if I understand that last part. So you're saying, to make sure I understand what you're asking, if we're serving Krishna, we're under the conception that we're not the doer. Are you asking, are we developing good karma?
So how do we develop good karma? The goal is to aspire, as this verse even says, to be in the mode of goodness at all times. There can be consequences of that, as in the puffery that you're speaking of. But when we're in the mode of goodness, which is what we're striving for, the inherent mindset behind the mode of goodness is to recognize I'm not the doer. So how, if we're in the mode of goodness, could there be good karma applied?
So we're going to talk about the fourth mode. And it's not, I can't say mode because it's not of this world, but it's called Suddha Sattva, pure goodness. And in that pure goodness, that is when we are acting in a way in which we are not the doer. Our understanding of our constitutional position, meaning servant of a servant, is fully realized. And as we're realizing our position is to serve others and bring them to God consciousness, then in that sense, we're not developing anything. We're not developing any negative or good karma. We're developing a karma or neutralizing everything. But when we're in the mode of goodness, then we're developing good karma, good actions. And this action is what Krishna is saying, that these good things are what are going to bind you to this particular mode. So most of the time, and I can only speak for myself, as much as I feel I understand about my relationship with Godhead, I'm not always acting in a way that is spiritual or that is beneficial to my soul. So to be always on this platform is a very difficult thing to be at all times. Because depending on who we're associating with that time or what our state of our consciousness is, the time of day, then our consciousness fluctuates. And when our consciousness fluctuates, it may not be in the mode of goodness. But while we're here, we are in the mode of Suddha-sattva, pure goodness, because we're trying to raise our consciousness higher than the modes. I'm not sure if I answered that.
It begs one more question, but Brittany's been raising her hand for a second, so I'm going to go first.
Well, I want to chime in on the conversation.
Yeah, please.
I want to chime in on the conversation,
Yes,
but do
me
you
too.
want to say what you want to say first?
So is the goal really a karma or karma?
So the goal
really
is a karma.
A karma.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I was gleaning from what you were saying.
But yes. And so in this chapter, remember Krishna's talking to the Gyanis, and Gyanis are normally in the mode of goodness. So he's starting with the mode of goodness because he's talking directly to them. And he's indicating like, hey, yes, you're in a mode of goodness, but because of the nature of this knowledge and because of the nature of the mode of goodness, you are susceptible to become conditioned by it. And therefore, as he's going through these modes, he spends the first third of this chapter explaining the modes. And then the middle section, he explains how they affect us. In the last section, he explains how do we get out of the modes. So ultimately, bhakti is very is very comforting in the sense of you can start anywhere and gradually raise. So Krishna is starting with the highest in this realm and helping, and then he's going to go to Rajas and Tamas, and then he's going to explain, actually, you don't need any of these. You don't want to be in any of the modes. But if you're going to be in a mode, be in the mode of goodness.
So, go ahead. So being in the mode of goodness is almost accepting that we're going to be conditioned, but let's be conditioned in a good way?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so my understanding of being the doer and not, or knowing you're the doer and not being the doer is, I feel like in the mode of goodness, if you go into it from the perspective of, I'm not the doer, well, what you're doing is braiding your will to the will of God, right? So that is doing some, so when you're in the mode of goodness and you're acting in accordance with, goodness, so the risk becomes becoming identified as the doer in like an arrogant way.
Right. Oh, this knowledge is so, like, I'm so intelligent. Right. I know all these things. Yes.
And
yes.
then by, like, what he's doing, for instance, like, what he's doing is braiding his will, right?
Braiding?
He's braiding the will. Like, so he's tying his will to the will of Krishna.
Yes.
And in that, he understands that he's not the doer. Krishna is the doer, but what he's doing is braiding his will.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's all one.
Okay.
Yes, and you made a very important statement. One, in the sense of this, even though we're all individuals, the oneness is in bringing about divine consciousness in each and every person, or reawakening that divine consciousness in each and every person. This is real oneness, is serving in that way to reunite that next person.
So I know I'm not the doer, but my doing is to gain knowledge and to serve sincerely and to all these things that Krishna would will us to do.
Right. So we see it as
but not in a way that's arrogant, as in like, okay, I know that it's accruing good karma for me, but I'm not doing it because I want good karma.
Right. In a sense of like, hey, I know my position, I work at this job, so therefore let me do the best I can. Let me Krishnaize this job. I'm doing the best job as I can as a parent. Let me Krishnaize my parental job. Let me Krishnaize my exercise. Let me do all these things and Krishnaize them. And by bringing that dovetailing, braiding this conception of our soul with the divine will, then this leads to a karmic activity, which means that we're neutralizing both negative and positive, which means that we don't have to come back to this universe or another universe in another lifetime.
Okay, so goodness is different than a karma in that way.
That is correct.
Got it.
That is correct. Because with goodness, when you're in the mode of goodness, you're doing actions which will require you to have to come back. Okay. They're like tokens. You have to spend them.
And it might be good, but you're doing it for the material gains.
You're good. And then Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that even if someone comes back and they're beautiful, they're intelligent, they have this really wonderful job, they still have to be born, which is uncomfortable, and they have to get old, which is even more uncomfortable, and they have to die, which they don't want to do. And so instead of doing that, just act in the mode of pure goodness, which means that you are everything, your entire being, as much as you can, Krishnaize it, devotionalize it, so that your life is a living testimony of the Gita or to the Bible, to embodying God consciousness.
Thank you.
So the way I understand is that good karma is binding to, just like bad karma is binding.
Exactly.
Binding to something else. Now, something I was thinking about. Now, I don't know what scriptures are exactly with your stuff, or whatever. But so in the Yoga Sutras, right, I think it's like Sutra 4. He says that thoughts are painful or not painful. He doesn't say pleasurable and painful, because, and he says that the thoughts that are painful are selfish, and the thoughts that are not painful are selfless, right? Meaning that no matter what, if you have some type of self in it, so even if it's something if you're doing something for it to be good, that also leads to painful later, because it had some kind of self connected in it. When you take yourself completely out of it, like say you open a hospital, right? Like you said, or a church, but if you have some type of, I'm doing it for this consequence afterwards, now you have a self in it. But if you do it just because it's an unconditional thing with no conditions afterwards, then that is what is painless, because it doesn't lead to any type of karma binding kind of thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was a very similar concept to what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, so one of the things I like, for example, is like the Catholic hospitals, like St. John's. Is it Catholic hospital? Is that correct? St. Francis. Of course, it's become a business, but like the idea is, I remember when our daughter had to go to NICU, we were walking through the hospital, and in some of the halls, you would see like, the crucifix. So you're automatically reminded of Christ, or you will see, some scripture. So what I think what the initial idea behind these hospitals were, yes, take care of somebody materially and also spiritually. So this kind of hospital is fine. But when we're opening a hospital just for a write-off or just for our name, fame, all these other things, it means nothing. But everything should, if we are truly acting in a devotional way, even in our regular life, then our actions should be so captivating by others watching us that they become like, wow, this guy's or this lady, they're something about them so different. And that curiosity in that even this simple thing will be spiritual credit for them to develop even more association with someone who is enlightened, just by perfecting our menial position, whatever we do. Oh, no.
What arises on the surface for me, back to what you're saying, is the helpful truth to live by is to do not be attached to the fruits of your labor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like when you're catching yourself, am I gonna get paid good money? At least from my personal practice, not the right thoughts. Am I gonna do, how much money I'm gonna get? Like, what? Come on. So yeah, first thing, do not be attached to the fruits.
And mind you, this is a very advanced level of consciousness. Very advanced level of consciousness, because we are in the material world. We have bills, we have responsibilities, we have all these things. It is not so easy to just, go to the forest and just have the self-assurance that everything's going to be okay. While we have this material body, while we have responsibilities, we have to act on those things. But as we try to spiritualize our life, we should, in some ways, in some tangible but also minimal ways, find something that we can do where we can do it and not be attached to it. And then as we gradually develop this ability, then something I'll tell you this for example, and I may have shared this last year or some time ago, but there was a time in which I was, business was very difficult, and I was like, I don't know how long I keep this up, right? And I said, you know what? I said, Krishna, if I, need to work from home, or if I need to, whatever the situation may be, I know that ultimately whatever's going to happen is going to be the highest. for my highest well-being. So therefore, okay, let me just continue. Let me use my intelligence, because I have just a little bit of intelligence. So let me figure out how I can do better in my work. And lo and behold, things happen, and we got lights.
Surrender.
Surrender. And this took me years. This took me divorces to come to this level of consciousness, level of understanding, level of surrender.
So when the question about the doer and the doing came up, my mind kind of went to the same place where Brittany, where Brittany's went, about basically like us in our ego self. You're saying Krishna is the doer and we're not. We're just kind of exercising the will of Krishna, correct?
Say that one more time.
So when it comes to not being the doer, the one that's doing the doing is actually Krishna. That's what we're saying, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is.
So, but like what Jerry was saying, how we're all one, and like when you take like the analogy of the ocean, we're just like a drop out of the ocean. So qualitatively, we're the same as Krishna, just not quantitatively in its entirety. So how do we find a balancing point of, okay, knowing that yes, qualitatively we're the same as Krishna, but overall we're not. It's just not us. So what I'm trying to say is, how I'm gonna say it. If we are all one with Krishna, but we're not doing, how do we find like what's the balance between, okay, knowing I'm this small, but I'm also connected to something that's this big?
So very, very beautiful question. I'll give you a couple analogies. Sir Prabhupada mentions, like, you see this body. So the hands have a function. The hands serve the body. However, when we need to eat, we don't give the food to the hand. We use the hand to give it to the mouth. And by that action, by the hands being properly utilized, the whole body is nourished. And we are parts of Godhead. Qualitatively, in our pure state, we are qualitatively the same, but we're part. And just like Srila Prabhupada says, how do you water a tree? Do you go to each leaf? No, it'll take so long. You go to the root, and by pouring on the root, you nourish the whole tree. So the tree is Godhead, is God. We're the leaves. So we water the root, and by watering the root, everything is nourished. Does this make sense?
May I add on to that with
Yeah.
answer his question?
Yeah, please.
So I had read recently this expression from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The saying in Sanskrit is Achincha Veda Veda Tattva, which means inconceivable, simultaneous oneness and difference. We cannot perceive, and our human logic will not allow us to truly perceive this. So there is things that are imbued in this bhakti yoga, this specific principle that we're speaking to right now, that we can do our best to tackle with our own logic, but ultimately might never actually be satisfied with that answer. It's an insatisfiable answer because, like you're saying, we are one and also not the same. And an example given when I read this verse was that there could be a pile of gold. And from that pile of gold, earrings, mirrors, picture frames, all these different things are made. All of these things are the same, but that pile never got smaller. We can't quantify that. That doesn't make sense. But that is how Krishna works. With Krishna being present in every single one of us, he still hasn't lost any of that pile. He still is the full pile. Even though there are 8,400,000 species on this earth that all have a little bit of Krishna. And so this is where the imperceivableness comes from in that expression.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think that kind of answers my question to a T, because I think like I go into a mode where I really just want to figure it out. Like I'm trying to actually conceive it so that it makes sense in my mind. So I'm a very visual person, so I really want to like see some type of symbol or something that I can come up with in my mind to make it make sense. But I guess what you're saying is you're never really gonna truly be able to make sense from the human perspective. So just like surrender.
Serenity.
Yeah, and this, I will go to what you're going to say, and this doesn't mean don't inquire, always question, but realize there are certain concepts in life that are paradoxes, meaning it's not a contradiction, but it's a paradox because it has to be properly understood in the right context. But yes, please you have to, don't just give up being intellectual or thinking or questioning. You have to continue. If Luigi T was here, he would say, when Srila Prabhupada asked him, do you understand? He said, no, I don't understand, but I accept what you say. And Srila Prabhupada told him, don't accept, understand. And once you understand, then accept. And because Srila Prabhupada said, I don't want any blind followers. I want people that understand. What are you going to say, Jay?
Talk about the pure goodness state. I think sometimes we think karma. That's what this really is about. The pure goodness state goes beyond karma. And what I've seen in my experience, and it's been revealed to me, is that what happens is I am becoming someone else's karma. See, I've gone beyond. See, there is no karma. See, only in the mind that's there's definitely the Buddha calls it skillful and unskillful. We're all there. Some are a little bit unskillful, some are a little bit more skillful. I believe it's taking eons and eons and eons for us to get to where we are actually. Because I'm 60, and I feel like a child now. Because of the fact that I see that when I love that person and I tell someone that I have no idea, I call everyone brother man, and I hug them, you might have pee on them. I say, I finally found out what God smells like. But I've been given a mantra, and I walk these streets and I ask God to show me where He is, what He sounds like, how He smells, what He tastes like, and then I will know Him. And I repeat that. And I smell God, and I have tears in my eyes, and I taste God through just the bliss sometimes. But when I found out that I am the karma that is walking up on the soul, that is me, that I've been there, that I believe that suffering brings us to the point of willingness. See, you said I did something. Sure, I became willing, but only through suffering of 54 years. So I've only been on this. I used to be a pastor in an evangelical church, my God, and that just led me astray. But it molded everything in my whole life, every decision I made. And it's all been me. See, it's all been me. And when I saw that, now my life has changed. And now, the goodness, the pure goodness. But I know it's not me. I'm too silly, man. But I know that when I see that I'm someone else's karma, it changes the whole ballgame.
Yeah.
See, now am I being a blessing? Am I being, I like to see the Christian language in me is, I want to be Jesus to Jesus. Jesus said He's in the poor, the ones on the street, the ones in prison, the ones in the hospital, the one are just the wretched, the poor. Jesus said, that's where I'm at. And then He says, go be Jesus to Jesus. So I get confused of who I am all the time. I just know I am. Nothing in particular, but I am.
I was going to say, it's very, very wonderful perspective is seeing yourself as someone else's karma, because we are ultimately our interactions with each other are either good, bad, or neutral. However, when we have the right consciousness, yes, when we're aware, we have this awareness, then we can use our intelligence to serve.
Skillful actions.
And that service is ultimately what's going to raise their consciousness. And this is bhakti. This is the definition. Serving others selflessly so that they can gain access to the divine Godhead, to Krishna. And through that, and you develop a state of happiness which is beyond the mode of goodness happiness. Is intoxicating happiness. Anyway, one last. Anybody have one last?
Yeah, I feel like that a lot. When I first had my rupture, whatever you want to call it, I'm Jesus. I'm Jesus. I'm Jesus. I mean, it was just my first avatar because it was my OG avatar. But I was like, that's my avatar. Wearing robes with my hair like that, and it was so strong. It was so powerful. And then over time, it's like you got a lot of work to do. You got a lot of work to do. That was the next year and a half. Deep, humbling, dark night of the soul. But we've had a lot of discussions about this. It's conditioning. Like that's the thing that separates us. Your traumatic childhood, my traumatic childhood, very different, but probably a lot of similarities in feelings, emotions, and skill sets. Your childhood, your skin, your nationality, yours. That's all conditioning. But how we each arrive is the same. And if we get back to that, it does feel very childlike. I got my best friend from high school, huge roided out Marine, to tell me I'm just pushing him at Christmas 2 years ago in a pickup to tell him he loves me to my face because I felt he needed it. He needed it bad. This is my friend who just died a couple of months ago from alcoholism. And the whole time I'm like, this isn't me. I don't tell dudes I love them to do. I'm like, where does this come? Why am I trying to shake this guy up? It felt really uncomfortable, or not uncomfortable, unlike me, but very comfortable. And it was very weird. And it was that, after that, and I realized, in that moment of sort of tearing off that conditioning Band-Aid and feeling very vulnerable, right after that is a realization. Like every time, it's this weird realization that, this is not me. This is not me. Whatever this is that's bringing me closer to people that I know and don't know. You know what I mean? And if your ego does not hijack it, yes, it's extremely humbling. And you told me that when I first started here. You're like, it's very humbling. I'm like, great. It's such a good to say.
If we're experiencing any suffering in life, to whatever degree, and we're able to utilize that suffering as an opportunity to go deeper within, then there is no way that we will ultimately not have these epiphanies, and these epiphanies will lead you to association, and these association will lead you to personalities that can really help you in life. And this is what Sadhu Sangha is all about. But we must be frustrated with our current state of life and how we're living it to actually want to do something. Why am I keep making the same decision? Why do I keep saying the same kind of toxic words or phrases again that they're not helping me? And that we must get out of these patterns. And the easiest way to do that is changing our association. And like we talked about, becoming accountable. We're over time, so I apologize. So we'll start. We can always discuss this more while we eat, but yes. Srimad Bhagavad Gita.